like it. Pushing the button, Mrs. Ryan. Thursday show, yay!
Yay!
Borderline confusing. Did you see that?
Yes.
That was borderline confusing. Hearing our music, seeing our stuff, but reading The Smoking Tire.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exciting. That's exciting. All right. Let's see. Get everything situated here. Welcome back, Mrs. Ryan.
Hello, hello.
There we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the old late night playset. My name is Jay Ryan. This is Nicole Ryan. We are the Ryans. And we have got a good show for you this evening, I believe. Everybody's been waiting for this moment on our side. We're very excited. The Smoking Tire is our guest this evening. Matt Farah is here. We've got Connecticut in the house representing Mrs. Ryan's New York. We're doing a whole little tri-state area thing going on here. We're excited to talk to him, so we're going to keep it on going, Mrs. Ryan here. But what on earth should we talk about first? How are you feeling?
Okay.
Looking lovely.
Thank you. Feeling...
compared to yesterday?
About a little better.
Okay. Mentally good, body bad? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about where I'm at right now.
But you don't let people look at, because right now looking at you, you look amazing on the monitor right there. So is there anything you can tell people for why you look great and you feel like shit?
The easiest thing to say is that there's a confusion in my body and brain about brain waking state and sleeping state. So different parts of my body and my brain think they're awake when they're not, and vice versa. And so getting those aligned sometimes is tricky.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Well, I just realized I'm sorry about all of that. I don't know how you I realize it's a bigger can of worms because it's probably not there's no succinct way to say it. If there was, they'd have an answer for what MS is and how to fix it.
Correct. In the meantime, everyone's heard of MS and they're like, "Oh, that's neat."
Yeah, you got that thing.
Looks like a headache.
I can't get it, can I?
No.
No, that's what they.
Yes, can't catch it.
I've realized I neglected to mention tonight is Thursday, October 24th, 2019, and I have already said that our guest is the Smoking Tire. All right, Mrs. Ryan, that is what's going on with the hellos, etc. Can we just get right into the show and what we've got to do today?
That'd be awesome.
I am very limited with what I have today. Usually our Thursday shows, which are our Friday shows, are stacked. Today it's not too bad. I've got an East Coast feed that is kind of long, and I've got a TBT that is very short.
East Coast feed.
All right, East Coast feed first. Let us check in over here, Danbury Chive and Ridgefield BMW, although I don't think they're there. They might be at Danbury Hospital. We'll see where we are. Roll it out.
Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Ryan. I was told not to film because it's a hospital. Here's Michael and Brooke and Mom and her bag. So a really quick story. Mom notices we're at the hospital visiting Aunt Nan. She's okay. It's not the end of the world. She's getting better. So we're in Queens, and Mom says, "This is a really creepy guy in the lounge. I call the cops on him."
Oh my God.
So like light switch. Oh, is that Mom?
No.
No. So she goes, go in the lounge and stand by the machine. He'll start talking to you. So I did, and Brooke and Mom stood outside, and he didn't. Yeah, I'm gonna tell him the whole fucking story. They can hear everything. Anyway, let's get them in the background. Here we go. Might come around this way. It's better. So I go in there, and the guy leaves to go talk to Mom and Brooke, which is the best part. Come to find out that Mom drops her credit card. A small bag. Mom drops her credit card, her medical card, and some other thing with her picture on it. And the reason why the guy was creepily looking at her is because he was trying to give her back her shit. But she called the cops on him already. How nice is that, right? Welcome to my family. We're in the hospital. Anyway, East Coast Feed coming to you live from Queens. Say goodbye, everybody.
Oh my gosh. So we're in Queens. It's probably like Forest Hills Medical Center or something. Oh my gosh. That is funny. So she dropped her stuff, her credit card, her ID, and her medical stuff, and then some guy was trying to give it back to her, and she's like, "Get the fuck away from me!"
That is
hilarious.
That is pure East Coast paranoia right there.
It's people who born and raised in that town, still in that town. That is great. I love it. All right, Mrs. Oh, that's not right. Hello. Oh, hi, producer Kate. There we go. Recording in progress. We'll make sure we got that going. All right, Mrs. Ryan, the last thing I have to do is an East Coast feed. Now, we are throwing back here to February 15th, 2019. Why, you might ask, is that a specific day? Has nothing to do with Valentine's Day. I'm sorry, Mrs. Ryan. What it does have to do with is a the smallest breakfast club we ever had, because after only a few of us made it, the road got closed. And we're playing it today because the road is back open as of yesterday.
Yay!
So, California 2, let's just see what the hell happened that day. I think it's pretty short. TBT. Roll it out.
That feels like forever ago.
It does, doesn't it? It feels like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Freddie posted on the Newcombs Ranch Instagram the other day, the road's open and the whole bit. And I literally thought, I was like, I need directions. I'm hard programmed for that hard left now.
Yeah, I read your post and I was like, I don't even know the regular way anymore.
You literally don't have to do anything. You just go straight and then you appear at Newcombs Ranch eventually. But I'm just used to it now.
Yeah.
I've grown to love the other way, 9 Mile is, oh, God, the best stretch. Don't tell anybody. Oh, shit. Blew it.
Don't say anything.
All right,
everyone.
Mrs. Ryan, that's all I have. Oh, shit, there's the one other thing. We have to go through the motions. All right. Pushing the button, Mrs. Ryan. Let's check it out. Dave, watch. Yes. All right. Today is, as I mentioned, October 24th. So I am going to put an X on this calendar right here, denoting that Mr. David Letterman is not sitting in his old chair right over there. However, Mrs. Ryan, do we have an update today?
No, nothing official. I'm playing phone tag.
Yeah, but you've reached back out and
Yeah.
Right. So
Next
it's not
steps.
stale.
It's nothing is stale.
Yeah, if you've been paying attention, we have been, I don't know if we've been trying for that long. Actually, I think this has been almost a historically easy process, assuming we don't hit a roadblock anytime soon here. But after over the last couple weeks, we have been trying to get David Letterman as a guest on this program. Obviously, you all know the history with me and the story and the whole thing. So now we've gotten to the guy. The guy has taken it to Dave, and now we're just following up and trying to figure out, what does Dave think?
Yes.
We can paint a picture of, Dave is sequestered in Montana watching these on YouTube.
You can speculate as to whatever story you want to tell.
Yeah. That's not the one that makes the most sense in my head, but...
You never know. We're in the waiting game.
I'll take it.
Anything could happen.
All right, so that's where we are, and we close up the Dave Watch. Mrs. Ryan, now the most important part of the day. It's time to ask the question that's on everyone's mind. What's going on, Mrs. Ryan?
My love for Australia continues. I cannot talk to this. Apparently.
That's not your fault. That's part of the MS, too.
Oh, yeah, sure, MS. There is a group of ladies that are in their 60s and 70s that go by the name the Fantastic Grandmothers. And similar...
Superheroes. Sounds like a superhero team.
It's kind of like the A-Team, like the group I mentioned yesterday, of women that are older and snorkel and have time and offered to go take pictures of sea snakes while they're down there, and they have changed the perception of the geological understanding of sea snakes in the area.
They volunteered to do it for some study that was already going on in National Geographic or something like that?
No, for like a local university, basically like offer their services.
So they said, we're down here anyway. We're doing this for our own exercise and our own well-being and feeling good and whatever. Do you want us to do something of value for you while we're down here?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. There's a lot
Everybody
of that
should do
stuff.
that. I mean, that's how mindful people work. I mean, they sort of look at all the pieces.
Yeah, there's a lot of that older community saying we have time and skills. What can we do? And that's what's coming out of it.
Everybody wants to feel valuable. Everybody wants to be of service, truly inside, I believe.
I think
that
so
may not
too.
be true, but I believe it to be true.
Well, kudos to the Australian folk, the fantastic grandmothers.
We've been having some home runs with the Australians lately. Ron Goodman, Porsche race car driver here on last week on Thursday. Oh,
Yeah.
so good. And then Taco T helping us out with that thing. So
I'm
good.
feeling mad love for that continent, so kudos. But to come back to our states for a second, it is now a federal crime to torture animals.
Oh, God, that's great.
I am so glad the House passed a bill. Like
It seems sick that it wasn't, but for a long time they weren't considered sentient, and they didn't have feelings, and they couldn't feel. And,
It's the beginning of a long process, like everything is in the legislative system, but at least it's like there's bringing awareness to that animals are energies that have feelings of some capacity, so don't torture them.
Yeah, totally. Ask any tree hugger. They'll tell you. I mean, every plant has feelings, let alone the animals around us.
Right. So kudos for
That's
that
awesome.
process.
Very cool.
Netflix, according to Bloomberg, is going to be producing fewer comedy specials.
I read that.
They're going to get more into the curation of comedy in general, it sounds like. And so that is becoming less about the final product of stand-up comedy specials like they've built. And someone we had on our show, Brian Volkweis, gave a quote saying that they've crafted one of the biggest libraries of comedy specials out there. So there's a plethora to choose from if you're looking for comedy specials. But
Many of them are his, that he's produced.
Yeah, many are through Comedy Dynamics, which is his company, and I'm a huge fan.
Big time. And love him, Brian Volkweis. He's just an awesome dude, great energy and good person.
Yeah.
Like he's doing the stuff he loves, and it's working out for him because he's doing it all for the right reasons.
Yeah. He's such a good dude. I'm so lucky to have worked with him and work with him currently and all that stuff. So, but it was an interesting perspective of that he shared of their library being so vast, and Netflix saying, "You're right, we have a great library. We don't need to produce as much content." So,
Shot himself in the foot. That's funny.
yeah, he did. We'll talk to him about that. And then lastly, for everyone that was a fan of the latest Quentin Tarantino movie.
What was the latest one?
Once
I'm having
Upon
a
a
hard time.
Time.
Oh, gosh, yeah. We still haven't seen that one.
Correct.
Can't wait, yeah.
It's coming back to theaters tomorrow with 10 extra minutes.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
So before it's even on home video, there's already a Quentin cut.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And apparently he gets final cut like written into his contract. And so there's actually like 4+ hours of footage available.
Oh, I'm sure.
So this is just another 10 minutes, but it's awesome. Like there's 4 scenes, like it affects 4 scenes apparently. This new 10-minute.
I haven't seen the original, so I don't know. Do we know when I've been checking on this literally weekly, and it keeps saying coming soon. Doesn't know. You can advance. Do we know when the home video release will be? Because that's when we'll see it, obviously.
I think this has taken precedence.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
I can't wait to see it.
I did hear I think in China, they banned the release in China because of the depiction of Bruce Lee in the movie. I don't want to give anything away with spoilers, but there was a political thing about that.
Everything with him
Not
is
sure if that got
controversial,
ironed out or
so
what.
we'll see.
Very
But
cool, Mrs.
kudos.
That's good. Oh, that's it. Oh, my goodness. And that's been What's Going On. Oh, gosh. Mrs. Ryan, you did a great job. Let us now take a breath, take a break, and get our guest Matt Farah in here, shall we? The Smoking Tire.
Awesome.
This is very exciting for us. The Smoking Tire, the guy who really does the car podcast that I think anybody who's ever listened to a car podcast knows about will be sitting in that chair when we get back.
Yeah.
More to come right after this. See you in a few.
As smooth as it can run.
This was the new iPad Pro last year, whatever.
Yeah.
So not the...
Wirecast it's a little clunky in its setup, and you need a powerful PC to run it.
Okay.
But And the real limiting factor with Wirecast is there is a huge gap in between consumer grade bullshit Logitech webcams and even the most basic of video cameras that you're using as a webcam.
That's what we were figuring out.
Yeah.
Too. I had to go full black magic for the whole setup.
Yeah.
If I wanted to do what I'm doing.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that was bank.
Right.
Was
So
like spending tons
we
of
said
money.
fuck that, and we decided that Logitech webcams were actually good enough.
Yeah, they are.
And they are. But the problem is you can't use them with extension cords. You can't. It comes with like a 6-foot cable, but you can't. For the feed, you can't put like a 20-foot extender and mount it on the other side of the room. It won't read it.
No shit.
So you're limited
Signal
by
gets
the
lost.
length from the PC.
Crazy.
But this solves that entirely.
Well, we're sitting here with the smoking tire,
great.
Matt
Hi.
Farah.
Can I curse on your show?
You can say anything you want, brother. Just be
Can we
yourself.
Can I shoot up?
You can do anything you want. Did you bring a vape pen?
I did, but I left it off.
Chad, somebody go get that. My goodness gracious.
Oh, I love our crew.
That's a riot.
So great.
I don't know that kind of show.
Thanks for being here, man. This is really exciting for us. We appreciate you coming.
That's okay. A lot of famous stinky bums in this seat, huh?
Yeah. So you know the story. This is the original Letterman shit.
I do, and because I'm friends with Spike, so Spike was like, and then I told Jerry he's gotta come see it, and, and it's funny. I mean, obviously, the episode of Seinfeld where he buys the Merv Griffin set is what I immediately
I'm not familiar with it.
go to, and I mean, that's like one of the sillier things that a person could do, and yet here we are in the valley.
20 years later, 20 years after that episode.
A lot of people forgot about that episode, but not me.
I don't think anybody has forgotten about that shit. It's on constantly.
I feel like episodes of Seinfeld individually are significant. Like, I watched Friends when it was new, but like, I can't remember a single individual episode of Friends.
I can, but not in the same way as
Only the ones
Seinfeld.
where like Ross got like kicked in the balls a bunch by some girl.
break.
Yeah, but there's like, when you say Seinfeld, someone goes the Marble Rye, you go, oh yes, of course. There's just like the iconic references,
Yeah, it's great. Well, we're about the same. You're a little younger. How old are you?
37.
Oh, you're a lot younger.
I'm a rough 37 though. It's been 37 very long years. It's not. The time hasn't been kind to me.
You look great.
Let's back it up because I don't know if I agree with that. But you're, I think, from the same neck of the woods that I am. Are you from Fairfield County too?
I'm from Westchester County, but like I grew up like 50 feet over the line.
Oh.
I grew up across the street from like SUNY Purchase in Manhattanville College.
Yeah.
Like that's where I was. My parents live in Greenwich now.
Oh no shit.
So like I'm
I mean,
definitely.
We had the mobile station on the hutch there. That
Right.
was
Well, you had the northern mobile on the hutch. I had the southern mobile on the hutch. Yours was technically mobile on the Merritt. Mine was mobile on the hutch. It's a different. We're going
back to the
real
one by
inside
SUNY, the one on
baseball
the
here.
butt.
I hope you.
Inside baseball.
I hope the target audience of this show is like a 10-mile radius around
Anybody
SUNY
in White
Purchase
Plains?
because nobody else fucking gets this.
If you've flown into
The
Westchester,
Hutchison River Parkway runs north from New York City, and when it hits the Connecticut border, it turns into the Merritt Parkway. Same road. There is a mobile station just south of the border and another one just north of the border. My friends used to smoke weed at the one south of the border. Their friends used to smoke weed at the one north of the border. We've established that.
I didn't hang out with anybody from Connecticut, so
From
I
that
was always
area.
at the south one.
The other thing about people from Connecticut is they always deny having any other friends from Connecticut.
Oh shit.
They're all like, "Oh yeah, I grew up there,
First thing
but
I
I
said-
actually hung out in Harlem.
Long Island.
Like I never went out in Fairfield County. I only hung out in like Yonkers, and they all
Where the
deny.
hell would you go out in Fairfield County?
Yo,
We'd have to
South
go
Norwalk is
over-
hot now. South Norwalk's the shit.
Now
South
it is.
Norwalk, yeah, now.
When I was a kid, you couldn't go there at night.
No.
You
Back in
couldn't
the
go there at night.
day,
The aquarium shut, and you got the fuck out of Dodge.
it's the disparity between
my high school, whatever you call that, the dance, the prom was at that aquarium.
at the
in Soto.
South Norwalk Aquarium.
At the
That's pretty
Maritime
hood.
Center.
That's pretty hood, actually. No, but Connecticut is such a weird town because it's considered such like a white, rich place, and you're basically talking about 3 towns at the very bottom corner,
just in the
and
point.
the rest of it is the ghettoest ghetto you've seen in America.
worse
Like
the further you
Bridgeport, like might as well be Brazil, frankly. And then there's like super rural, really, really, really rural. Most of the rest of it,
Yeah, it could be interchangeable with Vermont or Maine.
It's weird.
Once you get further out there.
Really?
Yeah.
it looks
No,
the same.
Connecticut
Looks the same.
is not a uniform. Like the image of what most people think of in Connecticut and what most of Connecticut actually looks like are not the same thing.
You just blew my mind with
Yeah.
the Vermont reference because I get that.
Yeah.
I had
Woods.
grandparents there.
Yeah.
I did not realize that was Connecticut.
It's beautiful. Like southwestern Connecticut is really, really beautiful.
Okay.
Most
And then
of
it-
your exposure has been
Yeah.
just there.
Okay.
Just stick
Very
with
pretty.
She's been up to like the Essex steam train and stuff.
Yeah,
like
stick with that part. Oh, the Essex steam train. Yeah,
Remember that when you were a kid with
no, you can rent that for weddings. We looked into doing a when me I
boat
got
and the whole
married.
thing?
Yeah, I got married
Congratulations.
over the thank you in spring in April, and we me and my wife we like different stuff. We were never into a traditional wedding, and one of the things we looked at is that you can rent the Essex steam train, which takes you to a factory of some kind at the end of the line. It's like it was like a knitting factory or some kind of factory, and you can have weddings there.
That's amazing.
But the problem is when it doesn't become your train. Even when you rent it, it still runs on a very
For
specific
real? Like
schedule.
other people, like random.
No, other people don't come on it, but it still runs on the schedule.
It's volunteer run, so the people, the engineers and the guys
Yeah.
who literally do all
Yeah.
that shit and shovel coal, they're
Yeah.
all
So you can
volunteers.
rent it, but it's still leaving at 5. You know what I mean? Like it's so we decided ultimately not to do it, but it is a thing that can
It's
be
a
done.
nice idea.
I love that you don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Well,
That's amazing.
I
Gillette
actually
Castle
am
and
not
all that.
ashamed to have hung out with people in the East Coast while I was there. Yeah.
All my friends were from like Poughkeepsie and shit. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Like
really?
I was really not. Yeah, I was not
Oh.
cool at all. I
Yeah,
really
no.
wasn't.
I went to private school, so they all came to us.
Nice.
That's what happens when you go to the private schools. Is the kids, it was weird because
They come from everywhere.
They come from
else.
everywhere,
Yeah.
which it gives you, I think, a few different perspectives about what the different towns are like around you, as opposed to like if I went to Rye High School, it would have been all Rye kids. But also makes it very hard to have parties and go to parties because they're not all and not everyone's in the same town. No one's walking to the parties or riding their bike. They're like from across Westchester.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mrs. Ryan's been to Playland.
That was
Rye
my
Playland.
hood where I grew up. Rye
No
Playland.
shit.
Yeah. We used to go there all the
It's
time.
big when we were kids.
Because
They shot
it's
big.
the amusement park. The movie Big is shot there, yeah. But they did fireworks every Friday, like almost all year
Every
round.
week?
Over
Every
the-
single
over
week
the
they do
harbor there,
fireworks
yeah.
there, yeah.
Oh.
So first, when we were kids, we'd go hang out and smoke weed in the parking lot and watch fireworks. Then we were in high school and we'd go to the cemetery next to Playland, smoke weed and watch
over that
fireworks.
stone wall, sure.
Yes, correct. By nursing, the cemetery,
that's
yes.
amazing.
And then we would,
amazing.
and then as an adult, now I take a boat to Playland, approach from the water, smoke weed, and watch fireworks.
Isn't that amazing? You graduated.
Full circle,
We have
man.
come up. Yeah, no, but Playland was great because it's when you're a kid, it's a full size amusement park,
I
and when
thought
you're
it
an
was.
adult, you go, oh my god, this place is tiny
It's
and
tiny as
shitty.
shit.
You grew up there. Did you? For me, it was like there was a 20-year gap, so I literally
Yeah,
had that experience.
No, I grew up there. I knew it was ghetto when we were there. Like I knew it was pretty crappy. Like there's a roller coaster there called the Dragon Coaster.
That's the Mariah
which-
Carey one, right?
Yes,
From the fantasy
from the video. Yes, it is actually, as a matter of fact, and it is one of the 3 or 4 oldest roller coasters that are running today. Like there was like the
Rickety
Cyclone. It's sketch, real sketch. I mean, it's like the paint chips fall off every time it goes by.
Oh,
I mean, it's
no.
mega sketchy. But and that's the only reason it's scary. I mean, it's not big, it's not fast.
Just 'cause it's like,
you go on and
you
you're
never
like,
know.
you go, wow, that was terrifying, and it's not because of the G forces or anything. It was just like the entire time I was like, we're just sailing off this thing,
I think that's where I hurt my neck. I have like a
Probably.
permanent chronic neck injury, and
Well, there's a ride under the Dragon Coaster called the Whip. Maybe it was on the Whip. Do you remember that?
No, all vaguely I remember all of this.
The Whip was basically a NASCAR race, but you're a passive participant.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, you were in like a little, you were in like a little small 2-person couch on a big spring, and then they had this sort of NASCAR track style oval. and you would kind of swing back and forth on the straightaways, and then it would whip you around, and you would just get fucking whipped around. And I mean, it would do that over and over. That was the whole ride.
Under another ride?
Yeah, it went underneath the Dragon Coaster. The Dragon Coaster went
shadows of the
over it,
dragon.
so you were on the whip, and the paint chips would fall on you.
God damn.
That is
Playland was
insane.
hood. And then Playland had the ice casino, also the ice rink, which they used for a ton of movies.
Mm-hmm.
A ton of movies were filmed in there, and it was also where the Rangers would practice, because all the New York Rangers sort of lived in that area, and so you could go, and it wouldn't cost money or anything. You could just go watch the Rangers
Used
practice.
to
there.
represent that guy was a Ranger.
Who was that?
Sean Avery.
Oh yeah,
He was a king too.
yeah. No, and when the hockey strike happened, what year was that? 94, 95, something like that. There was a big
Yeah.
hockey strike.
Yeah.
They came and practiced at my school.
Oh my god.
My school, Rye Country Day, it was like
That's
super
where you
Jew.
went?
Yeah, I went to
I
Rye
know
Country
it
Day.
only from the school closures in the morning. Listen to the radio.
Yeah, it was a super Jewy private school, K through 12,
I had
Ivy
to
League
listen to get to
feeder kind
Wilton.
of
I had to
thing.
wait till the R's.
Totally. And
true.
alphabetical.
It was all
Alphabetical.
fucking-
Yes, school closure. That's funny.
Listen to Weeby
But-
108.
Yeah, but we had the best ice rink around. I wasn't good at skating.
Darien, I thought, had the best ice
No,
rink.
No,
the
private schools.
private school do because
Oh, of course,
because they
money.
get skated on the least.
Yep.
They have the fresh new Zamboni, the really
All the
nice
best
mint
equipment.
Zamboni, and they kept the whole building freezing cold. So they didn't care about spectators. It was 30 degrees in this whole building all the time. So the ice was really fast, but we had really hard boards. So nobody would want to get checked into the boards because they
Did you
didn't
play?
flex.
They didn't
They
have
tried to
any
make
of
me
this
play.
stuff.
I was terrible. I played like JV for 1 year.
No shit. 'Cause
That was the
She
worst.
played ice hockey at University of Michigan.
Really? Oh, you were good at ice hockey.
I got good.
Yeah.
It's where I started playing, yeah. But a lot of
You
kids...
started and then played on the university team all within college?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
Thanks.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
It's a really hard game.
It's
It's a very difficult game.
It's a tough game, and but the rules they make sense. Like football and basketball
Right.
make no sense
Right.
to me, but the rules of hockey make sense.
They're similar to soccer.
Yeah.
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 But it's not a ton of thinking in hockey.
Oh,
Correct.
It's a lot of motor skill program. But
Just
I
get there.
was never good at it. We played like roller hockey. I was a little better at. My skating wasn't so hot.
You're
ice
big to
skating.
skate. I feel like your center of gravity.
Not
is
good.
Not
Not
great.
good. No, not good. I just never really got it. I'm an okay skier though. I'm decent at that.
You
but I
have to
didn't-
be on the East Coast.
We were- yeah.
especially
Yeah.
we were
private
sort of
school.
brought up to
Yeah.
If
Well,
you're
it-
going to go with anybody skiing, you got to know how to ski.
For
Yeah.
sure,
They're not
and
gonna-
that was what we did. Our whole youths was go up to Killington and all the
Trips,
Vermont,
just trips, yeah.
Vermont mountains. Yeah, and then when we were 13, we all switched to snowboarding. Everybody
Really?
switched to snowboarding,
God
but I
damn.
switched back.
Oh,
Like 2 years ago, I went back to skiing. The best.
yeah, and you can still do it.
Oh yeah,
My knees
I
can't
picked it
handle
up.
it anymore.
I was like, I'm gonna drive to Big Bear today, and I'm gonna remember how to ski. And I rented boots and I rented skis and just got on the fucking chairlift. And I had a really awkward first run or two, not long, and then I was skiing. And now I ski again, and I went
So
back to
great.
it. Not having to sit down on the mountain, the best. Not having to take your foot out of the fucking thing, the best.
Never even-
Poles, double best. Oh my god! At 37, I'm in love with snow again because the shitty parts are all gone. Now we can ski. Now we're doing it.
From 13 to 37, you were snowboarding.
Yeah.
God damn.
Not as cool. My dad, when we all switched to snowboarding, my friend had the cool dad, the one who owned the ski house at Killington. He was one of the cool dads, and he was like a dentist.
Oh.
And he switched to snowboarding at 50. And he came out and started snowboarding with us when we were in our teens. He
Oh
would
my
come
gosh.
out. Shout out to Stan Kerpel if you're out there,
Stan
Dr.
Kerpel.
Stan Kerpel. Switched to, and he got one of those alpine downhill boards where your feet are like in
The
line
stretch?
and you,
What? Yeah,
and
yeah,
you
yeah.
carve like you would on a motorcycle. Crazy.
Holy
Commit, man.
shit.
Yeah, it was gangster. It
You
was
must have
ex-
great knees.
Stan
what I'm
Kerpel was
thinking.
gangster. Yeah, he's probably in a wheelchair now, but he was a pimp. No.
Way to
that
build
was-
the
yeah, no, that
memories,
was
buddy.
All right. Well, growing up there, I could see how you would get into cars because there were some
Oh,
nice
yeah.
cars about where I grew up. But
Not just
what about
cars, but great
driving?
roads.
There
I mean,
we
that's
go.
something that I really miss about being there. Like here, we've got the canyons, and the Angeles Forest and whatever. We're super spoiled that we have that. I
Yeah.
mean, that's an amazing resource when you do the thing that I do for a living. But what you miss is when I was living in Greenwich. back roads were a thing.
Yep.
You know, every drive to the grocery store was kind of down a windy road, and you were moving. you weren't, you know, and even if you had to go into Manhattan, which was like a 40-minute drive or so, it was 30 minutes of moving followed by, and then 10 minutes at the end of dense
56th
traffic.
Street to wherever you were going.
Yeah, you know, now I'm like, I love LA and I like living here, and the sunshine's free and weed's legal, and we've got the canyons and we've got the weather and we've got all these things, but I really do kind of miss, you know, now if I go to Hollywood, that's the sort of equivalent, Venice to Hollywood of Greenwich to Manhattan, is like, it's just, I leave my house and then I'm just instantly in traffic, and Waze goes 9 miles, 59 minutes, and you go, just fucking kill me.
Just end it all.
You know, so that one of the few things I miss about the East Coast, especially Greenwich and Fairfield County and northern Westchester County, Putnam County, Bear Mountain area.
Oh, beautiful.
You know, just
Bad
a
speed
drive
limits, but
to
great
get
roads.
somewhere that you had to go anyway could be a nice drive, and that's something we don't have living in the city. I mean, we could all move to Calabasas, I guess, but like
That'd be right there. Yeah.
then our house would burn down and Kevin Hart would come through our fucking front door.
We were one of the first people to go through that after.
I saw it the
After
next
it
day.
happened.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the next
early
day
in
I
the
saw
morning.
the fence and I saw the
I said,
road
somebody
flares.
came and overcooked it the
I
whole
said,
road.
well,
We saw exactly
Hannah
what
was
happened.
with me, and we're like, "Oh, somebody had a day here." And I got home, I was like, "Oh shit, Kevin Hart!" Ooh.
The amount of road flareage was more than I'd ever seen in my life.
Yeah, there's a lot of flares out.
Yeah,
because
ever.
I think it's because it was a blind crest, and they were probably just trying to create long light.
It makes perfect sense, but
That
holy
makes
shit.
That or they were creating like a TMZ perimeter. I'm not really sure. You think there was you think there was paps up there? I don't think there was paparazzi up there. I don't think anybody came out there. That's pretty far in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I don't know, but they were also could have been with them already.
Do you think he was? Do you think he was
coming
drunk?
from someplace. Who?
The driver that was definitely
think was
not
driving?
Kevin Hart,
Yeah, there we go. Okay,
You're
now we're
right.
getting to the root of it.
Adorable.
who left the accident and walked home, which isn't shady at all. I'm just gonna go.
That's the best. I don't want to be here anymore, so I'm just gonna go.
I'll see you later.
It's funny, you're talking about the drive to the drive. For me, growing up in Wilton, I was right on Route 7. So it was Route 7 straight up to Lime Rock. We used to see Paul Newman all the time on Route 7 because he's coming from Westport. We used to see Robert Redford on Route 7 all the time. All these guys going up to the racetrack. Did you ever
Yeah.
spend any time up at Lime Rock?
I did. My first racing school was Skippy at
Skip
Lime
Barber.
Rock.
What years? Or when was
This
that?
would have been
Because that was my first also.
probably I was in college, so probably 2001 or 2 maybe.
Okay.
Bruce McInnes was my head instructor, and then Dean DiGiacomo. And Dean DiGiacomo, I just saw again. He now works for Lamborghini. He's one of Lamborghini's like Squadra Corsa instructors, and so I saw him at the Urus launch. But yeah, I learned to drive at Lime Rock as far as from racing.
Yeah, me too.
Shit.
But I also just spent so much time driving the back roads, you know, up off of I-84 and off the Taconic and connecting sort of Connecticut to Bear Mountain.
This is my childhood.
Yeah, and so I really
You would
learned a
figure out
lot
your
of
own
the
snakes through.
I would, and then when Google Maps came out in 04 or maybe 05, I became an instant Google Maps expert. That's kind of actually how I started doing my job. Was I owned a car wash with my friend Larry Casilla in Harrison.
Okay. That's where your aunt's from.
Right behind the Harrison Paint Supply, which is Harrison's next to Rye in New York, and it's where all the mafia guys who left Brooklyn to have families moved.
Bedroom
They wanted their
Wow.
kids to go to private. Yeah, so all our clients were these super mobbed up guys. It was hilarious. And they loved us because we were hustlers, and so they always were good tippers. But when these guys would come, not just the mob guys, but other guys would come and they would hang out and just at our car wash and just smoke cigars while they're detailing the cars and drink these espressos and fuck around and waste our time. And so
Busting balls and stuff.
yeah, and so me and my friend Larry, we started this car club called New York Motor Club to give these guys like a reason to drive their cars. So I would go and find these roads on Google Maps that nobody had ever seen before because they just didn't really care. It doesn't occur to you to like, let me look on a map like in my hometown to find new roads. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's somebody who did that, but these people weren't doing that. And so when I
You
would
just
come up,
knew it. It was your thing, right?
Well,
It was in your head.
I would no. I mean, I'd find some roads because I was doing that, but I would pour over Google Maps because they
research cities.
yeah, and I was go like
This is the first
look,
time we had this technology too.
Yeah.
I mean, so it was a road atlas before that.
Right.
flipping through a book versus just scrolling all over an unlimited universe and zooming in and out and just looking for squigglies and going, well, what is that? What is that squiggly that's just right, you know? And so I would put together these drive routes through roads that no one had ever seen before, and they're like, how did you find this? And I was just, Google Maps guy. And then in '06, YouTube launched. And so I was like, we should make videos of our drives on these roads. And that way the world will think we're this cool car club.
But we're doing this stuff anyway. Why not document it and then put it out on this new platform?
Yeah. I figured it would be promotion for the car club.
Right.
And then it turns out that I liked making videos a lot more than I liked being at a car wash in New York, and the car wash didn't last long once the video thing sort of took off, which it did pretty quickly because we were
shifted.
Yeah, we were like the first people kind of in the door with it. I mean, there weren't, other than like torrented copies of Top Gear and like videos on like streetfire.net, like there wasn't any like real like editorial content being made on YouTube about cars.
No, for me it was Motor Week. I grew up with Motor Week.
You had Motor Week on television.
Yep.
You had Top Gear coming on through the torrent sites.
Yep.
And then you had just bullshit street racing videos and drag racing videos on Street Fire. And so we decided that we could create... we thought it was 80%. It was probably more like 40% of Top Gear for no money on the internet.
Yeah.
And just do that. And that would just be the thing that we did.
That's how it started?
Yeah.
That's how the smoking tire started.
Well, no, that's how my first show, Garage 419, started.
Okay.
Which in New York, I've been making a few videos for the car club. Mm-hmm. Tom Morningstar, who was my cameraman, brought me a microphone. So now I was the host. That was it. I was the host. I did a couple of videos.
Probably good for your personality, right? That was a match. Did you?
In the beginning, no.
Really?
I was a major in photography in college, for the same reason I started. For the same inverse reason I got into cooking, which I got into cooking because I didn't like doing dishes. I became a photography major because I didn't like being in pictures. I didn't like seeing pictures of myself. And if I took the picture, I didn't have to be in it.
Flip the scripts.
And it wasn't until I started listening to the Opie and Anthony radio show
In New York.
that I realized that I could actually be myself in public. My parents are lovely people, but they're very conservative in terms of like, there are certain things that are home and private matters, and we don't talk about
Reserved.
them outside. And there's certain things you don't really let people into yourself. They're a little of the older generation, and it's worked out for them. But for me, when I started listening to Opie and Anthony, I realized that you actually can be the real you in public as a broadcaster and be successful. And so that, when I then got the opportunity to stand in front of a microphone and talk, and people saw it and laughed, and I got good feedback and I got encouragement, and this guy Emil Rensing, who's now in prison, offered me a job, I was like, oh, this is now a thing that I can do. Like,
Wow.
because I didn't know I could do this and talk about cars. Like, wait, you mean I can talk about cars on camera? Hang on, that's different. So...
And that's what was already... That was your...
Yeah, I already knew that. I mean, I already knew how to do that. I didn't know everything, but like, some people are affected by the fact that there's cameras around.
Right. Oh,
They freeze or they don't. They're just affected by it. Something changes.
When people are looking, even it's the same.
When people
thing.
are looking.
Yeah.
Like, for me, if people are looking, maybe. But cameras, no.
Oh, really?
I could be surrounded by cameras and be completely unaffected by it. But I much prefer filming out in the desert by myself rather
Than
than
an audience.
on the studio audience. Different because they are volunteering to be there.
Prepared.
Being on the street, I don't like. Where it's just looky-loos, like, what's this guy doing? Fucking entertain me, bro.
There's
You know what I
variables,
mean? Like,
yeah.
that's when I don't like that, and I feel uncomfortable doing that. But
A good shoot should have that contained.
it's not. It's never a deal breaker, but that's where I feel the least comfortable.
Yeah.
But I am unaffected. I'm exactly the same person, camera on, camera off. I'm unable to be a different person, which is good for this job and bad for everything else in my life.
So what everybody sees, authentic Matt Farah.
Yeah, that's what you got.
Yeah.
And so
That's fucking amazing, though, isn't it? Isn't that maybe that's the magic of the recipe?
Well, it's part of it for sure. Yeah, it's part of it. Like, people are like, how do I do the thing you do? And it's like,
Can't be me, bro.
you have to start by being me. I don't have a better way to tell you how to do it. I can give you the formula. Buy GoPros. Learn Adobe Premiere. Like, I will literally tell you the exact steps I take every single day. But if you can't turn a camera on yourself and do whatever it is that I do that comes easily to me, sorry. Like, that's the main thing. Like, I suppose, mildly gifted in that I can drive at 80% of my race pace and have a totally calm conversation with you, just like we're sitting here right now. Like, it's nothing.
It is amazing.
I guess, yeah. For me, it's not hard, but for other people, they're like, "What the fuck?" You know what I mean? If they come in the car with me, they're freaked out.
You are so experienced on it now. So whether you,
but
had
I could
that
do
gift,
it before.
There you go. Whether you had the gift already, and then you've just honed it over the years.
I'm a better driver. I've practiced driving, and I'm a much better driver now than I was in the beginning. Obviously, because of all the practice. But even then, I could go 80% of my maximum. The maximum was lower, but I could go 80% of that maximum and just have this conversation.
I have to assume again that the magic there is that you're not doing something else, which is pretending to be someone else.
That's
you're
probably
just
true.
Being you, and then that, of course, doesn't require as much.
I suppose,
CPU.
yeah. I suppose, yeah. That's
awesome.
true. I can it at anything less than full management of front and rear traction race pace. I can autopilot the driving. Especially if it's on the roads I'm comfortable on. It's much harder if I film somewhere else. But if I'm on familiar territory, whether it's a track I've lapped a whole bunch of times or a road that I've driven a whole bunch of times,
back road and ride.
I can fully automate that with my body, and my brain can completely separately focus on what I need to say to the camera.
That's so cool.
It's weird.
You sound like him, though. Like, I get the differentiation of, like, presence versus autopilot capability, and it's really neat to hear.
I mean, if you're a good driver, and I know you are a very good driver. I've driven behind you, so I know. I thought I was doing a pretty decent clip in a GT3 RS, and you're in like an old Carrera S mobbing. There must be good tires, but there was also good skill represented there.
Thanks, brother. That's Lime Rock.
Yeah, no, I mean, but if you can drive at a certain skill level, you should be able to pretty much detach your brain from that experience. You know, but you kind of have to also be if you're comfortable talking. You know, if you're not comfortable talking, you could take a phone call or you could do something.
I'm glad you're doing it. I don't ever want to learn how to do that. I think what you do is great, and it's hard to find somebody who does it better. I mean, I'm glad I can
because I can't do anything else.
But you've got to go to like a Chris Harris or somebody like that.
Chris is amazing.
To get anybody else who does it at that level, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, a bunch of the English guys do it well. Jethro does it really well. Okay. Henry Catchpole does it well. A lot of the guys
does it well.
Well, most of the guys who do it well are English, and I think that's
they grew up racing in the rain.
True. They have a lot. They also have a lot of airfields and racetracks in England. They have a lot of places and opportunities to practice. Yeah, England has more racetracks per capita than anywhere in the world.
No shit.
Yeah, they do.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, most of them are decommissioned World War II air bases, like the Top Gear track
and the new one.
And
Grand Tour one, whatever that is.
And the Grand Tour one is, and also there's what's the other? Bruntingthorpe is one that gets used a lot.
They're all versions of like Tustin down there, right? They're like retired Marine bases or whatever.
Yeah, it's just it's just runways and taxiways linked. They're all kind of like shit tracks, but there's a lot of them.
It's paved real estate.
It's just garbage tarmac, but it's tarmac. It's better than nothing.
It's still road.
Yeah. No one's complaining, but it's not like they've got Laguna over there. It's like driving on El Toro or one of those kind of places. Yeah.
Okay.
Those guys are well practiced, and I also think, the English do typically have bigger vocabularies than we do. They just have more ways of saying things, and I've tried to expand my vocabulary where I can, and it just never sounds that good. It just doesn't. Whenever I try and use really new words, like it just people make fun of me. Like people make fun of me if I don't use enough words, and then if I try and use new words, they're like, "What is this? What is this new word?" Like, just don't say. You know what I mean? Like, don't call that 911 scrumptious. Like,
Meanwhile, you're just trying to pepper it. Oh God, I love it.
Meanwhile, I'm just trying to, because I've caught myself using, you get in like ruts and streaks where you start using phrases for a while until you get, and I catch myself.
Do you get influenced by what you take in? Because that'll happen to me sometimes where I'll see something like a YouTube video and somebody will say the same thing 3 times. And I'll be like, and then I lock onto that saying and then I'll say it for 3 weeks.
Well, it always starts by making fun of the thing, right?
Yeah, usually.
You make fun of it until you adopt it.
And then it becomes.
Yeah, that's happened to me a few times.
And you're subscribing.
Where I've made fun of someone's phrasing or whatever, and I do it a couple times and then I catch myself actually talking like that. Yeah. I don't watch a lot of other videos. I don't.
You mean like your content?
Yes. Yeah. When I like, I watch like Netflix and stuff, but I don't watch a lot of other automotive content. I typically.
Don't you need to check the fuck out of that at some point?
Yes, definitely. I also. I know how the sauce is made per se, so the magic of editing and all that doesn't really impress me.
You're not dazzled.
Well, I just don't learn anything. I haven't seen a lot of new techniques. I mean, Brian Scotto and the Hoonigan team, they're doing some good work cinematically. Larry Chan and those guys. They so occasionally, as a fan of photography and film, I will check some of that stuff out if that's what I want. But anytime a new sports car comes out, I'm gonna drive it. Like, I don't need to watch someone's review. And if someone
make up your own mind,
and if someone drives it before me, there's a 99% chance I have their phone number, and I can just be like, "Yo, Johnny, how was it?" And I get the 3-word review, and that's all I need to know. Yeah, until I drive it.
Right.
Just, is it shit or not? Not shit. Cool. I'm gonna drive it in a month. I'm stoked now. You know what I mean? So, but I'm influenced by Anthony Bourdain and his content.
I'm very sorry for your loss. You lost a friend
Carl.
Recently in the food world.
Ruizing. I have my Cuban Ruizing wristband.
Yes, very sorry for your loss.
You never met him, but did you ever watch any of his stuff?
No, I didn't know anything about it. He's one of those people who I found after he left.
Yeah, Carl Ruiz passed away last month, but he was the most interesting person probably I've ever met. He was a chef, Food Network chef. He worked with Chef Guy Fieri, and he had a restaurant in New York City called La Cubana. But he was on Opie's podcast and Opie's radio show, and he also if you go to YouTube and you type in OMG Carl's Food Show, it's literally, you'll find about 10, 12 videos he did before he died of him just in an iPhone reviewing fast food. And reviewing fast food, this is a guy who's trained by Joel Robuchon.
That's right.
But Carl really democratized food. He was trained by a Michelin star. He could have cooked at any Michelin star restaurant anywhere in the world. Level. He's opened restaurants. He's one of the best chefs I've ever seen. He was the winningest chef ever on Guy's Grocery Games. But he was not a snob about food. If you watch his McDonald's review, his line about the fillet of fish is that the fish must have volunteered for this sandwich. But then he balances that out. He eats the fries and he goes, any Michelin-starred chef would be proud to make this fry. This is the perfect French fry. You go into any chef's kitchen, and they would kill to be able to make a French fry like this.
So it was a very honest review.
Well, he democratized. You know what I mean? He found things that anyone could appreciate in a $4 hamburger, and he gave you reasons that you should or shouldn't eat certain things that were very real. And every time I hung out with him, he came over to my house in L.A., and we went to this place, Egg Slut, which is a popular egg sandwich place in L.A.
Breakfast sandwich, yeah.
Yeah, and so there's one around the corner from my house in Venice now. So I'm like, Carl, you should try this. I'd be interested to see what you said. And I took him there, and he was so interested in the packaging and the serving. And we noted that they serve their sandwiches in these sacks, like a vertical sack, like In-N-Out kind of does.
Like an old school diner.
Yeah, but they do that for, he's like, you see how they do this for a reason? They do it so the steam rises up vertically and not through the bun and makes the soggy bun. And so he was like a master of like food science. That
That's
may
like old
seem
drive-in
obvious
stuff.
to some people, but he would always talk about why certain pizzas are made designed for delivery versus designed for pizzeria eating. It's a different crust recipe.
Time in the box.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing. And he was he just knew all of this food science, you know, but he was like a blue collar guy. Like he wasn't a snob about any of it. It was just like he just knew so much about so much. And so every time I hung out with Carl, it was like I would laugh my ass off because he was hilarious. You know, he would teach me something amazing, and then he would also introduce me to other people that were equally interesting and amazing. You know, he invited other Food Network chefs to my house to come cook, and he like took me to a restaurant that was like owned by his friend who took us down in the underground meat locker, and we fucking smoked a blunt in the dry aging room. Like, you know, it was just
Experiences.
yeah, every time was like a new just bit of craziness. And so like I this past weekend I went to a memorial for him like at Guy Fieri's house, like, which was another crazy
It's a whole different
you know
experience.
crazy. He had the coolest kitchen of anybody I've ever seen. I mean,
Well, he sounds like he was probably a really cool friend, and he
Good
sounds like
friend.
he was probably very similar to you. And I can certainly understand from that story why you
it's just a
guys, why you guys
connector
got
of good
along.
people, you know.
I love those people.
Yeah, those are good people. It's important to remember them.
Yeah.
We sold a T-shirt. We raised $11,000 for a scholarship that's being set up by Guy in his name for aspiring chefs.
Absolutely
Kudos.
awesome.
That's
Love it.
fantastic.
Shout out to Blip Shift. They donated their proceeds as well.
Beautiful.
They just covered their costs and donated the.
Do you do a
rest
lot of
it.
stuff with them?
We do a shirt every month with Blip Shift.
Every month, okay.
It's good business.
Yeah?
Yeah, I have to do very little.
Really?
We work with their designers.
So they do the designs too?
They do we concept the idea, they do the design, we make an edit, approve, they print, we market, we collect a check. We hold no inventory, we don't ship, we don't do customer service, nothing. It's great. Totally hands off.
Great deal.
Yeah. Actually, it's some people really have minds for T-shirts. I don't really have a T-shirt mind. So Zach, who works with me, actually comes up with more T-shirts than I do, except for like when the Million Mile Lexus thing finished, like I came up with the shirt that was just the all nines of this frozen odometer. So like, yeah, but a lot of the other like the regular merch actually Zach comes up with. Yeah.
Gotcha. Switching gears for a second, we also are cat lovers.
love this.
You've got cats.
Yeah, we have 4 cats.
You have 4 cats?
Yeah, we have 4
I did
cats.
not know that. Did
Do you have
know
cats
that?
here?
Yes.
We have one aging kitty.
Oh.
She's 18 and
Really?
change, and she is. I'm just so grateful that she's still alive. She's
Oh.
still nice and happy, but she's
That's
sleeping
great.
a lot.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
At that stage.
Yeah.
She's
18's
old
a
and
run.
crusty.
That's a run. Yeah.
This was a Mrs. Ryan cat that she brought into the
Well, that's
relationship, and it
that's
was
all right.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Good.
No, it's great. But
They saw some blame being thrown around there.
No, it's the opposite. The cat, Mrs. Ryan, used to travel. I don't know. She used to be a publicist in comedy, and you're a comedy fan too, aren't you?
Fan, yes. Not a comedian, but a fan of.
No. Yeah.
I'm a huge stand-up fan.
But you have
yes.
comedians on your show sometimes.
I
too.
do. Yeah, I do. Whenever I can. I had Chris Porter on my show last week, who was very, very funny.
Awesome.
And I just booked Rogan again. Yes.
Oh, good. Congratulations.
Congrats.
Is that
That's
out?
awesome.
No, December 4th. I'm going.
No.
back
I
on
mean,
Rogan.
is that news out?
Oh, I don't. It's not like embargoed or anything. Like,
Well,
yeah.
great. Then we just broke it tonight on this show.
I think
Holy cow.
I think I might have said it on my show last week. I don't really remember,
Congrats,
but I'm
that's
excited.
awesome.
It's good for business.
Yeah.
You going to him or him
I'm going on his show.
Awesome.
That's way better than him coming on my show. I mean, I would appreciate it if he came on my show, but like me going on his show gains us a lot more. Someone said it last night, and they were right, that he's actually sort of the Carson of right now.
I said it on this show. a couple
Did
weeks
you?
ago- on the-
Yeah,
couple weeks ago
yeah.
On this show, and everybody seems to be agreeing. I
Yeah.
think I heard it somewhere else too because it's fucking true.
Yeah.
It's millions and millions. Of
I heard he did 1
eyeballs.
billion downloads last year. That's fucking crazy.
You would know.
I went on his show, and the video last year when I went on Rogan, the video of it did 1 million views in 24 hours. Of a 3.5 hour podcast, the video did What the fuck?
I'd love to know what the
That's
metrics are for how
great.
people, because people stay for his too. They stay on, you know.
Yeah,
They
well,
don't drop off.
it's easy to stay. The topics don't. He bounces around from so many different topics, and he's good at keeping it moving. That it's easy to kind of let the time go by.
You've done it before.
I've done
his
it
show before.
I've been on a show 3 times.
So this is the 4th time.
This will be the 4th.
Oh man,
Yeah.
he's gonna have a 5-timer jacket next
I
time.
know,
The whole thing.
Right, I get a patch this time, and then I get the whole leather jacket.
Other
next
than
time.
like Red Band
Exciting.
and the comedy guys, who else is
I
comedy guys?
don't know.
You
There's
what I mean?
probably a bunch of people that have been on a bunch, but I'm kind of the go-to LA car guy, and so, actually, he was nice enough. We were texting back and forth, just randomly about stupid car stuff, as we sometimes do, and I did mention to him that I'm opening this place, Westside Collector Car Storage, and I actually have something to sell, and if he doesn't mind, if he's got a spot, I finally have something to sell, and he was like, oh, definitely come back on. So that's really
awesome.
That's really nice of him.
When I was a PA, I might have been a production coordinator, but when I was a kid in New York, before I moved out here, I used to work on news radio.
Oh,
with
yeah.
him and everybody,
Cool.
Phil Hartman, and the whole
Yeah.
crew. And whenever they would come out to New York to do stuff, and he was a different Joe Rogan. I had no idea. Of all the people in that show, he's not the one I would have thought would be the most famous 20 years later.
Pre-DMT.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
funny.
there were
The
so
most
many-
famous. He
so
probably
many-
is the most famous 20 years
So
later.
much talent on that show.
In fairness,
Take
if
out
Phil
Andy
Hartman stayed alive, he probably would have maintained his position as most famous.
Without a doubt.
Legend, Phil Hartman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
So
but
fun
stand-up
guy.
comedy in general is like if I couldn't hang out, like I love cars, but I like car people and I like talking about cars, but if I had to choose groups of people to hang out with, I'd much rather hang out with comics and chefs than car people.
Is that stimulation? What
No,
is that?
car people are great, but car people in general, okay, and I meet a lot of them, dude. I meet a lot of them, okay. And car people, you know what I mean. I go to a car show and I'm covered in man sweat not my own, not by the end.
Limited kinds of conversation versus
Look,
comedians.
everyone is so nice.
tackle everything.
Yes, and a lot of people who are really into cars and modified cars, their car is sort of a costume. Their car is they're not necessarily extroverts or personalities, and they express themselves via car.
Right.
And that's totally awesome. Like, I'm glad that they have a vehicle to express themselves, and you know what I mean, literally and figuratively, a vehicle to express themselves. But and sometimes they're amazing personalities also by coincidence, but by and large, the car is a way for them to express
cosplay.
themselves. Yeah. And that's okay. It's
nothing wrong with
totally okay. Watches, same thing. A watch is a trophy. You know what I mean? It can be,
Sure.
right? In the same way that a car isn't a trophy, but if it's a 488 on rims, yeah, it's a trophy. You know what I mean? So for me, like, I would just like a comic has to be up there on stage, naked, not naked, but just microphone, And
Raw.
a chef has a pile of vegetables and a dead animal and a knife and a flame,
Oh, you got a
and
sink
so
or swim vibe to it.
it's a sink or swim vibe. It's a create from nothing vibe. The kind of mind that creates from nothing, I think, is great. That kind of go, odd hours, shady people, slightly mentally
Weirdos.
embarrassed, imbalanced, a hint of substance abuse,
embarrassed.
these kinds of self-loathing. Like,
That's
these are my people.
biggest.
Yeah, these are my people, really, I think.
Damn good to know you.
We fit right in.
But just like, car people are not usually that.
Yeah,
But
from my
that's okay.
experience, a lot of it with the car people is it's a hobby to a lot of people, and I find the difference of the people who make a living at it and the people who just really enjoy their weekends at it. I find that the people who make a living at it take things more seriously,
Yeah.
and perhaps the conversations go a little bit differently, and there's not as much just kind of fluff. Where's this going?
Yeah,
Maybe there's a
true,
respect
but a
for
lot,
your
but
time,
true,
perhaps.
yes, I think so, and I think for a lot of fans, I'm like their escape,
yeah.
So either they want to talk to me about whatever, which typically is fine, but if I They'll ask a question, I'll respond. They'll ask a follow-up, I'll respond. Now we're best friends. Now the next thing after that is like, so how's Hannah? And I'm like, we've never met. Or so I'm having a poker game like next Thursday, in West Virginia.
We get a lot of that.
And so there because you're being nice, you're instantly their friends. And so I think it's great that people are so enthusiastic, but I end up with a lot of folks where social norms are not really learned.
This started like a car thing, and it's become sort of like a whatever the fuck we are thing, because like you said, you end up with whoever you really are, and then the product is what it is. You like it or you don't. With that, though, we do this in our home. We are letting people, like, there's a whole different, we're breaking barriers down. It is a little weird when the messages come in with like I noticed you changed the thing on the shelf or whatever, and it's like, oh boy, of course, well, we're showing it, so I'm leaving myself open to that. Doing it
in your home is bold. I realized
it didn't start. I mean, this was never the intention.
I know, but let's see. We started our podcast 2011, and we moved it out of our house in 2014.
So that we're on the same path.
And
I think
it was absolutely the right idea to not do it at my house anymore.
You'd come to that point.
Well, they're just. I mean, look, it was. We had roommates, so there would be like someone over there making dinner, first off, and I'd want industry, I didn't necessarily want anyone to know where I lived, and I wanted to, but I did also want to have an address where someone could mail something that wasn't my house, and also, just that an address that I could pretty willy-nilly give out to folks that wasn't my house, and
all of the things.
Yeah, and once we got to a point revenue-wise where it made sense to have another studio, I would never ever go back to doing it at my house. It does. I'm glad we're at a position financially right now where it actually makes sense for me to build that better studio that I'm building anyway.
Perfect segue to the new business.
Plug it.
You're really making progress. The thing's the building's up. They're in the finishing stages now, it looks like to me.
Yeah, they're like stuccoing this week, which
the building's
construction
up,
is crazy. Construction is so ridiculous. Like, I just wanted a place to park my cars.
No, nobody's buying that.
No, seriously.
That's how it started?
I had a friend who let me park my cars in his empty building in West LA. And he had this building, and he moved out. He moved to San Francisco, but he didn't want to sell the building. So he said that I could keep my car, at the time it was one car, in the building, and I could use it, whatever. Just look out for it. Sweep the floor once in a while.
Keep an eye on the place.
Great. Well, if you give you a free warehouse and then fuck off to San Francisco for 2 years, one car turned into 7. I had 7 cars in this building. And then my homie calls me up and he goes, hey, man, I just sold the building. You got 2 months to get your stuff out. And I went, oh, my God.
Your car out. Your one car.
He knew I had more in there, but he was like, and he didn't care, but I had to leave.
Yeah.
That was 2014.
What are you, Tetrising since?
And so the first thing I did was sell 4 cars.
Okay.
I just first I tried to buy that building. I said, give me a chance to buy it. He told me how much he wanted, and I laughed and left. I sold a bunch of cars.
They'll be out of here Tuesday.
Yeah. I sold a bunch of cars, and I spread them out, among other places and other whatever, and it became very annoying.
Yeah.
And I eventually downsized even further the cars, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna get my own building. Maybe I'll rent a building. No, that's crazy expensive. Okay, maybe if I get a building and share with 2 or 3 friends, that will work. Oh my God, there's no way. That's crazy expensive. Okay, what if I did a building with like 30 or 40 cars in it? Maybe that will make sense.
Getting there.
Oh my God, no. So the only way it works is if I own the building, I own the land, and it has a certain level of density for for the square footage, right? Especially because the point was to be near the beach, right? Or
There's nothing else over there.
Because there's nothing else over there. There's a bunch of car storage places in LA, and they make a ring around the city, right? And you even have places like the Motoring Club, but like that's a club. That's like a social club. That's not what we're doing, right? And so
people keep their cars there, but it's a different environment.
It's a different thing. If you are going to keep your car there, you're not going to want to be at my place. And if you want, the kind of person who wants to be at my place would not want to be over there.
Agreed.
Like,
not much.
They're like a car dais more than anything else, which is
beautiful.
Totally fine. Like I'm happy for those guys. I think that's great. But like that's not what we're doing. But most people would just move into a building, but when you start involving the lifts,
the weight of,
and all this stuff. So what we had,
the engineers for your plans and everything, probably as much as the architect.
Yeah, not quite, but it's up there. Yeah, the engineers were
everything you're building. You've even got a basement below it.
Well, so you have to. So if you build a commercial building in Los Angeles, my property is 14,000 square feet. Okay, if you build a commercial building in Los Angeles, you have to have 2 parking spaces per 1,000 square feet of commercial building. Oh. Even if that building is designed to be full of cars. Okay, so what we would have had to do was build a building that was on half the lot and have the other half of the lot be a parking lot. No. Or a basement counts as, quote, street accessible parking. So I had to dig a basement and build a basement. I can then sell those spots as part of my rental.
So it does.
They don't have to be available to the public for free. They just have to be, quote, street accessible. Now that means a ramp. Stacked doesn't count.
Right.
So by building the basement was 50% of the cost of the entire building.
Jeez.
Okay? Because the basement has an open deck, right? Like, meaning, like, it's held up by some columns, but there aren't very many.
Right.
The basement, the ceiling of the basement or the floor of the main level is 30 inches thick of double rebar and poured concrete because it supports 18 quad stackers and the cars on them over an open deck. So we're the first building in Southern California to have quads. We're the first building to have quads that have battery tenders built onto them ever.
Wow.
I designed that system.
Congrats.
And we are the first ever building to have quads over a basement anywhere in the world. No one's ever done it. So we poured 1,300 cubic yards of concrete, which is 130 concrete trucks.
Ugh.
Was the basement, and then another
so
60
many.
was the deck. Yeah,
And that's because of the reinforcement
That's
necessary to accommodate all of that engineering. Right?
Also because of the high water table. We're built on marshland, basically. So you have to have a weight.
I want to shoot myself in the face.
Yeah.
This is in Playa, isn't it?
This is in Playa Vista.
I completely
We
forgot
then
about
had to
that.
vent the methane, and we had to environmentally dispose of the 80 dump trucks of dirt we dug out. So
This was
been a
all Hughes
process.
land back in the day, right?
yes, I bought Howard Hughes Administration Building.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
That's where the property is? So I know
That
right
was
where you
actually
sit.
it's on the Centinela Curve.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's across the street from the Clippers practice building.
Exactly. I
Which is
used
a
to
good
work over
place.
there all the
Good
time.
place to be.
There's
But-
tons of ad agencies.
So no, it's
construction
just
companies there.
so to do the basement to have the accommodations for parking. Now we've got to meet 2019 seismic codes, which means the building has to withstand a 12.0 earthquake.
How do you test that?
There's a way to do it.
They do?
Yeah, they don't vibrate it. They don't actually vibrate
No,
the
but
building.
with ultrasound or something.
They do it with
they figured
ultrasound and X-ray, and they also take samples of the concrete cores and like pressure test them. It has to be, I think, at least 5,000 psi is the concrete, and
It's
and then
the density. If all of a sudden all of this work is done and then the concrete is too porous, all of a sudden for whatever fucking reason they don't get all the bubbles to the top.
You
None
should
of that
see.
shit works.
No,
so
you should come
many
see our
factors.
concrete. There's no bubbles.
Really?
It's beautiful. They had to wait like 2 weeks because it was going to rain, and they were like, if it rains, we're screwed. Like, this is going to be the best concrete ever, but and I'm like sweating because every week we don't open, it's like thousands of dollars we're losing. So they're like, trust me, if we pour this now, it's not. So they waited, and like, it is the most beautiful concrete you've ever seen in your life. It's
Barometrically
amazing.
perfectly
It's perfect
poured.
concrete. It is.
Look at his face.
No, my crew, my contractors, they typically build hospitals. That's what they normally do.
No kidding.
And hospitals are the strongest buildings that are built. Yeah. It's assumed that nobody can get out during an earthquake. So hospitals have the most rigorous building codes of anything, and we are built to hospital building codes.
Neat.
Yeah.
Bravo.
My guy's showing me stuff. He's like, you see this like truss here? He's like, this is how you would build a bridge. And
this header.
It's crazy. I probably have the heaviest 14,000 square foot building in Los Angeles because the walls, the walls themselves, the above ground walls,
it's one big
cube, box,
right? Yeah.
But the walls are 12-inch CMU block with rebar and concrete inside of them.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really wild. And then the racks, the racks are cages. They're all linked together. So you have a giant steel cage of like 40 cars.
Someday, 60 years from now, when they need to knock this building down
They're
to
not
make
gonna
room
be able
for
to.
something else, they're not going to be able to.
It's going to be
They're
hard.
going to take the ball to
Yeah,
that
it's
thing
going to be
like-
tough.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And they, I don't know the exact math, but they measure the Richter scale for earthquakes is exponential, not linear.
Mm-hmm.
So a 12-0 is like the equivalent of 5,000 8-0s.
Right.
It's nuts.
You're
yeah.
shaking a bunch of toys.
Yeah. And then I got to build, the cigar lounge upstairs with the wine and whiskey lockers is pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
And the new podcast studio.
Yeah,
So-
all that to get back to
yeah.
the podcast studio. So you're going to do a new space that'll look like the old space for the most part.
I mean, the red curtains are going to be gone. I'm tired of the red
Oh, I
curtains,
thought
but
that was the- thought
no,
that
the
was your
red curtains
signature
is not a
touch.
signature move. We just didn't want to do black. No, we're going to decorate the walls with art like your studio's got here. But it's still going to be the same, table sort of situation. We thought
Custom
about
setup.
It's not. It's
Really,
just
you're not going to do a custom table? What's this table?
The
you're talking
table-
about so thick.
Oh, it's a slightly custom table, but it's not a broadcast console or anything like that. It's just a nice, thick, heavy.
You don't
Our
wanna-
table now is literally like a crappy IKEA table. It's been for 9 years.
That's fine. You don't want to be compared to a Seinfeld
Like even this, this is so thick and nice. Like this, your table's good. Our table, when
They
you
made
hit-
it for
exactly for that. No, our table is like a drum. When it's like recording on
Oh,
a
it's
timpani.
empty.
Yeah, it's a shitty IKEA dining room table. It's terrible. It's like press board. But we've
So
just
no
been
one will
using
be
it.
standing on that one.
No,
That's right, Drew Barrymore.
perfect.
Did we cover this
Westside
stuff?
Collector Car Storage?
And when do you have an estimated? That's
It'll
what
be.
everybody wants to know.
Everybody wants to know when. It's
This year,
It's
next
soon. It's going to be before the end of this year. I don't know when.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
We're very
huge.
close. Like we really are very close. It's the only holdups have been like permitting, like the getting our utilities and like because we have to dig up the road to connect power and water.
Oh wow.
It's the city of Los Angeles sucks.
Do you have to dig up
sometimes.
Jefferson or what?
No, not Jefferson. The alley behind the building.
Oh,
Thank
okay,
God. Yeah, no,
okay.
we don't have to dig up any.
I was like, isn't all that shit run?
No, we don't have to dig up a major road. We dig up the alley. Thank God.
Good grief.
Yeah. We did have to shut down Centinela with the
I'm
dump
thinking
truck with
you've
the
already
concrete trucks. We shut down Centinela for 36 hours.
That's what I'm thinking.
More
You
than
already
a
had
day.
the juice to had to do
I
that.
apologize. It was over a weekend.
I wasn't driving then.
No, we did it. We did it over a weekend, and I'm very sorry. I try to be the person that alleviates traffic. I always move up. I minimize the gaps. I'm invisible in traffic,
way.
but that day I had to cause traffic.
That's a lot of jump trucks.
It's-
All of this sounds
It
like
was
such
amazing,
a process.
and they were all the same color. They were all this baby blue, and just like,
Oh, the Magnus trucks with the red and white and the blue things. I love those.
It was like a movie, just all lined up down the Centinela because the road curved around. It was gorgeous. I loved it. I was like, oh shit. I was like, these are my trucks. These are all my pretty concrete trucks. And I'm such a dick. Like, we're not going to put a sign outside that says Westside Collector Car Storage. There's going to be a little on the door itself, but not a big sign. So
Although the
Howard,
Las Vegas neon place is right over there too. Heaven to Las Vegas.
I know.
They could do something special.
But we wanted to find some way for people to find us, and so I put a 30-foot tall red F on the front of the building
For Farah.
Farah, and it's huge. It's way bigger than I thought it would be.
Is it up already?
It's not there. They did it in plywood.
But you see
and then,
it up, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's up. It's up. They haven't painted it red yet, but it's up. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so big. It's really funny. It's a huge F. It's like the building's 43 feet and it's 30. It's 30 of the 40 feet. That's how big it is.
That's amazing.
Oh my God.
Did we get to the stuff that we should get to today? Did you have anything
I
for
don't know.
us?
It's your show. What's the stuff?
No, I mean that's what I mean. Are we good?
For you.
I
I feel great.
believe
We've
so.
done the time. I know you've got stuff to do.
Yeah, no, we plugged Westside Collector Car Storage and the Smoking Tire podcast, and those are the only things I have to promote right now. I'm writing for Road and Track Performance Car of the Year, Road and Track P. Cody. So
Are you? Is that for the magazine?
I contributed to the issue in the magazine.
Wow. Congrats. That's huge.
I'm pretty sure Bowman is actually writing it up. Is Bowman writing it up? Or either Bowman or Bob Sirkanowicz. I think it's Bowman is actually writing it up. But I contributed. I went on the thing, and I did all the videos. So I did one takes with all the P. Cody cars.
You're not doing one takes anymore, though, right?
I am, but only with press cars.
Oh, okay.
I
Press
eliminated
reviews,
fan cars. Yeah, I did 1,000 of those.
Oh my
know?
God! Really? We're at almost 250.
Yeah.
1,000 of anything.
Well, I would do
Staggering.
6 in a day.
Okay.
I'd go, but like
You're a machine.
but imagine only ever eating past appetizers. That's what it was like.
Past appetizers.
Past appetizers.
Passed
Imagine you
around.
live your life at a party
I
where you
see.
only eat past appetizers and you never have a meal. That's what doing all those cars feel like. I couldn't any of those cars that were fan cars, like I couldn't tell you anything about them. None of it sticks. It's
Yeah.
like you do it, you auto like I said, autopilot it out,
Yeah.
and then the next one. And so, but
I do know what you mean with that.
Yeah.
With the daily routine.
yeah, and so when I drive a press car, and either I have it for a week and do whatever I want with it, or I go on a launch and maybe it's more restricted drive time, but I meet the engineers and I get my questions answered. I remember that it sticks later.
Right.
I have a lot
doesn't
more to
go anywhere.
Yeah, and when I do my review, even if it's done in quote one take, I have a lot more to say. It's not just a checklist of power, handling, brakes, suspension. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, let's be honest, with all those fan cars, like I got to be interviewing this dude, and his only qualification is he has a car I'm like mildly interested in. This is no bueno. We need to not be doing this anymore. Only put people on camera that really need to be on camera.
Well, I noticed that sometimes you had the driver with you, sometimes you didn't.
If it was a personally
Or the owner
owned
with you,
car, I would always offer to take the driver with me because A, I thought they might offer some insight into the ownership experience, and B, I thought that they came a long way and gave up their time to hang out with me, and they
that's nice
probably
of you.
wanted the personal experience of being a little bit famous. And because a lot of these guys would like go back to their car club and like they'd be the little celebrity
Yes.
because they got to do it, and like that's awesome. Like I'm glad that those experiences happened. Like I don't wish I didn't do any of those things, but like
Absolutely.
after enough of it, you go, if I have to be totally honest, the owners are keeping me from being totally honest about the car.
Right.
And because the owner is here and because the car is old and not new, I don't have enough to say to be interested in this myself. Whereas if it's a brand new car, there's a lot more to say because it has new things in it you can talk about. The new tech, the new tires, the new wing, the new you can talk about this, but it's like I'm driving an O2 WRX.
And
What-
it's a more objective process at that
yeah.
point.
Yeah, it's the job.
Yeah.
And because the thing you're evaluating is a thing that a big faceless company is trying to sell to people for a lot of money. It's not, I'm going to judge Jimmy on how he personally modified his Cobalt SS. You don't want to judge Jimmy.
Right.
It's Jimmy's car. I don't
Jimmy
give a
and the
shit what he
lookalike.
did to his car. You know what I mean? Like ultimately, I don't care. So that's what the parking garage is about. The parking garage is about having a side hustle and then being able to do a story on a car because it's a story worth doing and a car worth driving, not because I need a video for today
Yeah.
and I don't particularly care what it is.
Right.
So quality.
You're also busy. Who's got time for it?
I mean,
You know what I mean?
you know,
You do a lot of shit.
I could, but if I wanted to focus on just doing fan cars, that could be a full-time job, and I could go film 2 days a week and edit video 2 days a week and take the other 3 days off, and I would be fine and make good money, but I'd want to blow my brains out.
Can't thank you enough for being here
My
today.
pleasure.
We have been very looking forward to this. The only person I think who was not happy you were here today was G.I. Jennifer Nicole, because she was hoping this would happen down at the PEC.
She
Yeah, are you
said-
recording
She
down
said-
there next weekend or something? Are they the 16th, the anniversary
yeah,
dealio?
We're going to be there for the week during the anniversary. They're going to build us a fresh set. We're
Are
going to
they?
have a desk and chairs and everything. Yeah,
Oh,
it's gonna be
nice.
fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I want to
gallery.
come to that. I think I might. There's a thing for Carl in New York called Pig Beach on the 16th, and a bunch of his favorite barbecue chefs are going to Brooklyn, and I may I may go do that. I've been on the Carl Ruiz Memorial Tour for like 2.5 weeks now, and I'm pretty memorialed out. And like hanging out with Guy Fieri at his house and pretty much like closing those links to the chain together.
You've done it.
I feel some closure, I guess we can call it that.
Hopefully we'll see you there.
Go to OMG Carl's Food Show on YouTube.
I've gotta do that, yeah.
And watch just start with like McDonald's or Arby's or one of the fast food ones. It's great. It's the most authentic content that exists on the internet.
You're awesome, dude. Thank you so much for taking the
you for
time.
having
Appreciate
me.
it. Mrs. Ryan, what do we have tomorrow? Tomorrow we're done. We're done. Oh my gosh. All right. California 2 is open. See you at Breakfast Club tomorrow. Saturday, Mrs. Ryan, we'll be at Malibu and Muffins because you have not been able to do that in a couple weeks. So that'll be fun. And then Sunday, Cars and Coffee Los Angeles.
Great.
Yeah, right over here in the woods.
Where is that?
Right by the fountain, the Mulholland Fountain in Silver Lake there, Los Feliz.
Oh yeah. Is that a good show?
It's really cool.
It is?
Very,
All right.
very low key.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have it on my calendar. I might have to go to one of them.
There's a lot of cool. You see different stuff there, and that's what I like.
I like the idea of going there. What I don't like is the idea of driving back across LA at 10 a.m. in my Lamborghini.
Don't blame
That sounds
me there.
crappy, actually. No, that's why I like the Cars and Coffees in Malibu. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have a nice little drive afterwards. It's good. I like that's.
Well, maybe we'll see you Saturday.
All right.
Mrs. Ryan, that's it. I love you so very
Love you
much.
too.
Matt Farah, we love you so very much. Please love everyone. We love everybody at home. Please love one another. Let's see everybody next week. I don't know what I'm talking about. This guy's awesome. See you later.
Cool. That's a real slick. I like that interface a lot better than. And are you doing?